This is Capital Perspective with Senator Edward Kennedy, a forum for discussions with local community leaders to highlight local and national issues that affect the people of Massachusetts. Senator Kennedy has been committed to serving the people of Massachusetts for many years on a wide range of important issues in both foreign and domestic policy. Edward Kennedy, showcasing the achievements and successes of the people of Massachusetts. And now, Senator Edward Kennedy.
We're especially fortunate here in the Commonwealth to have extraordinary cultural jewels. Many of the nation's most preeminent cultural institutions can be found in communities in all parts of Massachusetts. Local residents and visitors alike can enjoy the very best of American painting, music, dance, theater, and these cultural experiences enrich our lives, strengthen our communities, and attract tourists from throughout the world. All of us in the Kennedy family have thoroughly enjoyed these unique opportunities. My mother especially loved the Boston Symphony. She took each of us as children to the Christmas concerts at the Pops and summer concerts at Tanglewood. Their special memories, and countless families across the state have similar traditions and wonderful stories of trips to their favorite museums and theaters. Many of these places are important for another reason. They tell the story of our early democracy. Places like Paul Revere's home, Plymouth Plantation, historic Deerfield, and many other sites hold the famous documents in history that unite us all as Americans. We have learned as well that the arts and humanities are not only good for individual enjoyment, but good for the economy as well. Cultural tourism is now one of the many economic engines of our state, from major metropolitan areas to small rural towns. The non-profit arts are a strong investment. They're magnets for business. They enhance business development. They support jobs and generate needed state revenues. With us today are some of the leaders of the Massachusetts cultural community. Mary Kelly is the director of the Massachusetts Cultural Council, the top state official for supporting and preserving the culture of Massachusetts. She does an outstanding job and provides indispensable support for our great institutions. Roger Reese is artistic director of the Williamstown Theater Festival. He's a brilliant actor and has been a key part of the cultural renaissance in the Berkshires. And Roger has brought with him one of his student apprentices from the theater, a likely arts leader in the future. Katie Kirby is a theater intern at Williamstown this summer, and she's a North Andover native and a Catholic University of America musical theater graduate. Anne Brengle is the dynamic head of the New Bedford's Whaley Museum. She also chairs the organization called Massachusetts Advocates for the Arts, Science, and Humanities. She knows firsthand the big difference an arts institution can make in a community. So welcome to all of you. I'm delighted that you can be here. And Mary, we can ask you, if you would be, to give us sort of a overview of the cultural landscape of Massachusetts. People are watching this from all parts of our Commonwealth. We've got so many different kinds of opportunities. It's a big task to do in a short period of time, but maybe you could just touch on some of these. And with this, we are also hopeful of putting on the program the web numbers for people as well. So if they hear this, they can look on the web and write this down, and then they'll be able to get some follow-up. So Absolutely. We're not expecting you to do the whole job. People that can record this on the web, but tell us a little bit about our wonderful state.
Well, Senator, the council supports over 400 cultural institutions across the state, and they are as far north as Lowell and Newburyport. There's a wonderful textile museum in Lowell, a quilt museum, down to the Cape where we have theaters. Provincetown has a wonderful theater company, Wellfleet, art galleries. If we go down the coast, we'll hear from the New Bedford Whaling Museum in a little while, and of course, in the middle of the state, we have Old Sturbridge. I think you mentioned Deerfield. They're historic museums, historic homes, aside from our incredible theater and dance and music. Massachusetts is known for its music festivals, chamber orchestras. I could go on, and I think the web is the place to go to get that information.
Well, this has been recognized also by the National Arts Council. Massachusetts actually gets, money isn't everything in life, but the fact is it does help in these support for the local communities, and this is more usually a match in the local community. But we get 10% of all the national resources in the humanities and the arts, 10% of the nation, which is a real reflection of the energy that is out there and the resources in those communities, and that are just waiting out there to be embraced and used and to inspire the next generation. Well, tell us a little, Roger. Can you tell us? We're moving now from the center part of the state right out to the Berkshires, but we're so glad to have you on our program, not only as a magnificent actor, but also as the arts director, the theater director, and we'd be interested in hearing a little bit from you.
Well, thank you, Senator. You talked about the energy in Massachusetts and the awards of such grants towards that energy, but also I've inherited a theatre which has excellence behind it. For 50 years there's been a theatre in Williamstown, part of the college, and what's happened in this 51st year is that there's been a new theatre building has been built there, endowed by Herbert Allen, looked after by the college, and built by William Rawn. There's this extraordinary new theatre, the most astounding thing that could happen in the arts. A new theatre for 500 people has been built in the middle of, in this corner of Massachusetts, which is some 30 miles away from a railway station. So it's an incredible. It's within half a mile of a cow, this theatre. It's in the middle of the countryside. They built a state-of-the-art modern theatre where, with the Williamstown Theatre Festival, apprentices such as you'll meet with Katie here, young people have learned their adult confidence in this art, in our theatre disciplines. People, technicians, craftspeople, young actors, musical theatre people, move through this system that we've provided with the summer season at Williamstown, celebrated by the community and by the neighborhood. This is a new theatre for the community and for Massachusetts at large, and also for Boston, Albany, and New York. It's a celebration.
Theater.
Absolutely.
And the shows they're doing are top-notch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We just opened with Lady Winter Miss Fan, starring Jean Smart from Designing Women on TV, very popular actress. But then we're moving into Top Girls by Carol Churchill, very political play about women. We follow that with On the Razzle, which I think you're invited to come along to see. Thank you very much. And then we finish with Bus Stop by William Inge, directed by, interestingly enough, William Frears, who was my assistant director when I directed B.B. Newirth and myself in The Taming of the Shrew a few years ago. And William Frears is now doing his first big main stage production, a wonderful thing starring Elizabeth Banks, who is from Pittsfield, just down the road there, a young actress who's now in Seabiscuit and the Spider-Man movies. So that's an example of people moving through the system and actually finding this confidence which we can give them through the arts in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Well, the Williamstown, you go down, you have Edith Wharton's house.
Sure.
Massamoka.
The Massamoka is right around
the
my wonderful Clark Museum, the Prendergast that's there.
Jacob's Pillow, one of the premier dance location, I think, in the country.
Absolutely. And the Shaker Museum just down the road. Many, many, many wonderful things.
The Shaker Museum, I remember visiting that with my children. Most people don't know about the whole Shaker movement. It's an interesting part of our tradition and history, and we have a wonderful, wonderful area there to be visited. It's enormously educational. But let's go to Katie Kirby. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to hear just a little bit how I think for Williamstown Theatre is known. My son Ted worked there in the summertime and was constantly inspired, and as always welcomes a chance to return. But I'd like to hear about sort of how you sort of heard about it and what it sort of meant to you. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing. And
well, I grew up in North Andover, so not so far away, but I had always known about the Williamstown Theatre Festival as kind of the premier theatre festival in the country, and some people think in the world, where just artists are allowed to go and create and really do interesting things and with interesting people. And I then moved to New York after I graduated college, and I had a friend who had done it before, and it seems to be one of those places, once you go, you return often. And
how did you, this is competitive, did you have to write in? application?
You have to apply. You have to
and
apply, and you have to write a resume, a cover letter, and then do an interview. So I.
How many other students are studying up there now?
65 apprentices.
65 apprentices.
It's astonishing, and they do everything. They build the scenery. They take classes in the morning. They start the morning with yoga. They do voice classes, movement classes, and then in the afternoon they build the scenery. They're in the plays in the evening, and then they do their own shows till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's a lot of scheduling, yes. As artists, so no, it's definitely it's a packed schedule, and it's just this amazing opportunity where you are next to artists like Roger. I mean, I'm 23-year-old, that has not so much on my resume yet, and to be able to put this on there is just it's an amazing experience.
Well, it's a wonderful
really.
opportunity. I mean,
Yes.
I think this is really something. Did you go to school in high school? Where did you go to high school?
I went to North Andover High, and then I went to Cushing Academy, which is a boarding school in central Massachusetts, where I was always in the theater. And then went to school at Catholic University in D.C. for music, theater, and drama, and was always very directed, and then moved to New York to be an actress, and so here I am back in Massachusetts, which is great to be home for the summer. But really, it's just great to get an education like this and work with artists that are so renowned and just that I've always been inspired by. And now I'm working right next to them, and they are helping me along and building my career and confidence in this profession.
Well, this is a message to a lot of young people here in Massachusetts. You can do it too. We've had someone who's a good graduate of our high schools and then was able to get on, accepted at a fine university, hard work and discipline, getting the opportunity, and you can see it's all out there for young people to be a part of, and it's all here in Massachusetts. We'll come back, but let's talk a little bit. We wanted to have a chance to talk about one of my favorite places, the Whaling Museum in New Bedford, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about some of the things that are happening. We try to we have seen how the progress has been made there in recent years since the time that we had it as a national park. I had the opportunity to read my little chapter of Moby Dick a Christmas or two ago. It's and I wish you could tell the people of Massachusetts about what happens there every other week during the summer. How they open up all the cultural kinds of them, have it free, and how people just flood to that opportunity. Well, tell us. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay. Well, you're absolutely right, and I think one of the things that fascinates me listening to all of us, Senator, is that the history of Massachusetts and culture are just intrinsically connected. And New Bedford is an example of a community that was one of the wealthiest in the world in the 18th century. And so there was a lot of furniture, painting, great cultural diversity. It was an amazing city connected to seaports all around the world. So the museum's collection is phenomenal, and the national park, which we work so hard together to establish, has really highlighted that and has taught the arts community of New Bedford the power of partnership.
There you go.
And so what you're describing, AHA, which stands for Art, History, and Architecture.
Say that one more time. I didn't have the courage to say it at the start of this program. I'm glad to get it.
It's a AHA, which is like aha, for Arts, History, and Architecture. And the second Thursday of every night throughout the year, every month, right? We celebrate all the cultural offerings of New Bedford. There are 15 galleries involved. Last Thursday, we had some Ennio McCord on our entry plaza, and 500 people showed up. It's just an amazing thing, and it's brought great vitality and enthusiasm. And the Mass Cultural Council has been absolutely terrific in helping to support that and encourage it. with both leadership training and funding, and it's been very, very rewarding.
Tremendous turnout in the community. I guess they say that the number of the communities bring the ethnic foods out there. It turns into a real happening. And I think what we're all reminded of is the value of the arts. People, are working hard. People have their nose to the grindstone, and in many families, both parents are working, and they get some time off. They'd love to be able to do some of this, but they just haven't got the chance. And the fact that they open up in the evenings these art centers, and you see the outpouring and of people and bringing their families and their children to these centers is really the thirst for these kinds of this information, which is a very healthy situation. One of the little interesting programs that we have with the Whaling Museum is an educational program. As we know, or as we learn, many of the whalers went across not only the Pacific, but they went to Hawaii and also to Alaska. And there's a cultural center up there at Point Barrow, Alaska, where a number of the whaling families actually settled. And now we have the internet connection, so with the students talking to the students
Absolutely.
up there, as well as to Hawaii, and tracing some of the families, their distant cousins, their distant relatives, and how this came through. So we have this sort of cross-cultural kind of a communication, which is in the schools. We've been able to get some additional resources to help the schools so that they'll have some understanding. I mean, the imagination and creativity for the developing of this to reach out and reach beyond to something.
It's been phenomenal. Museums that are collecting institutions like Peabody Essex and the New Bedford Whaling Museum and the Bishop Museum in Hawaii hold objects, cultural material that we don't know a whole lot about because we've disconnected from the communities that those objects came from. And so through this partnership, we've been able to reunite whole families, find photographs that we could put names to the faces, and it's just been a remarkable thing. I mean, just to understand that the basketball team in Barrow are named the Whalers, as are the basketball players in New Bedford. We've exchanged jerseys, we've done distance learning. It's just been a powerful, powerful experience.
Well, this is terrific because, I think all of us, as someone who's on the education committee and thinks that this is the key to all the hopes and dreams for all young people, and think sort of education is a continuing sort of a process. This has really made the education an exciting kind of a program. Kids can sort of see the relationship, and good teachers are able to relate these kinds of experience to early readings and writings. They begin to want to read about what was happening at that time. They will study about that period of time. And it gets into sort of what education is really about, and that is exposing people and having them interested and then having them inquisitive and learning how to learn. I mean,
right. Somebody was remarking the other day, a new trustee, saying, why do you collect all of these objects? And the answer is for the great, unasked questions as we go forward, with students and learning and connecting to universities and connecting cultures. There are many, many things we don't even know about that remain to be learned, and making the collection accessible this way has been extremely exciting.
Accessibility is what we're all trying to do.
Yes.
We have some programs, like we have a thing called Free Theatre, where we open up this brand new, wonderful new theatre to mothers, children, families at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we do free theatre. They come and the children sit in the very same seats that the expensive ticket buyers in the evening will sit in, and they'll experience at this early age the theatre-going experience. I think it's a wonderful thing. We have a program called the Greylock Project, where young, underprivileged children from the local area, kids who might well move towards drugs or early pregnancy or some sort of difficulty in their lives, are brought in to actually face a blank page and write plays. These young children are encouraged to write plays, a one-on-one experience with young actors. We have a thing called Leapfrog this year, where young actors and theatre-going directors actually create a young person's play and a young person's musical in the 9 weeks of our season. You know, so the product, but by making things accessible, by taking away the fear of our institutions, making them accessible is a vital thing, I think.
And I think it also goes to show, Roger, how the cultural institutions of Massachusetts have assumed the role of not just doing a performance or not just having an exhibit, but they are integral parts of their community.
That's right.
And they have assumed the role of the educator. They have become, you know, the center of the community, the pride of the people of New Bedford in that AHA project, in the revitalization of their town, you know, and watching a new restaurant open because people are going downtown at night. All of these things happen around these projects that you're talking about.
And their pride in the community too. We have a saucy little program where the least important people, like Katie here, talk to
Katie, you better speak up. You're not the least important person.
Tell them about Foreplay.
Foreplay is great. It's right before the show opens, some apprentices get up on stage and they speak about the show at hand, and you know, they give backgrounds on it. But really, a lot of the time, it's kind of their moment to shine in the theater. So they talk about, you know, well, we do yoga, and you know, it's just
they
really
talk about
fun.
themselves,
and it's really a fun thing. I mean, at Williamstown, really going to the theater becomes an experience. You know, everything. It's not just a performance, like one of you said. It's a whole experience. We have things called foreplay, you know, beforehand, and we have question and answer periods after, and then you know, there's getting kids into the theater more.
Well, this is what I'm interested in. Do you find that you're able to attract, I mean, more of your generation and younger people?
I definitely think so. I mean, number one, we have a program on Friday nights called Kids Night, and with every adult, a person under the age of 18 gets in free. So a family of 4 can see the theater for the price of 2 people. And so, I mean, that's what you need to bring theater to the people who want to see it. It's not about. It's about getting them out there and getting them to see the shows. And I mean, that's how I, was brought up.
Do you remember your first show? Do you remember
my first show that I was in?
Or no, well, the first one that you said when you made your decision that you wanted to be an actress.
I was. We were just talking about the North Shore Music Theater before we came in, and that was they have children's programs in the mornings there and on Saturday mornings.
There you go.
And my mom. It's my probably fondest memory with my mother. She would bring me to the theater, and I remember I saw the Emperor's New Clothes, and I got a vanilla ice cream afterwards, and it was I was sold. And
mothers, listen to that. You've got some daughters or sons that have got some interest.
No, exactly. And my mom was just. I have nieces now. My mom's a grandmother, and so they are just getting to the age, and she's so excited because she's like, I missed it so much. I had no one to go with.
See, I think she could be an actress.
So it's great. And then the first show I did was actually at Peabody High School. My mom is a teacher there, and they needed a little kid, and there was that.
There you go. Good for you. Well, before we wind up, Mary, an awful lot of people that come here. What do you think for people that are watching this in different parts of the state? How do you think that they can sort of find out about what's happening locally? I mean, are there some ways that you would suggest that they get in touch with either in the communities or at the state level to find out they live in the South Shore? Maybe
there's a local cultural council that serves every city and town in Massachusetts. There are 329 of them, and each town they could get in touch with their local cultural council. They can get on our website and get to their local cultural council. They can go to www.massculturalcouncil.org. And another thing they can do is go to WBUR or WGBH. There's so many calendars around, wonderful things that tell you. Out in the Berkshires, you have a calendar. The Mass Office of Travel and Tourism has a calendar, massvacation.com. So, there are places to go to get the information, and certainly anybody in my office will be happy to help.
That's good. How, just in the minute or two that we have, how did you first get interested in sort of this? I'm going to ask each. We just heard from what was the sort of the touching moment
to get into this business? I was 9 years old. I was a street urchin in Winterset in boarding school. That was it. And I went to the theater then for every second, and that's where I was going to be somehow. I was going to be, and then that theater love grew to a wider thing, and because I know what it can do for kids. You see, I know it can change their lives, and the programs, some we've touched on today, that happened to me, and I have seen it happen again and again and again.
What about you?
I was the boy in the class who, when we were taken to the Old Vic in London to see The Merchant of Venice, I was the one of the 30 boys who wanted to stay in the theatre forever after that. And eventually I played in a Tom Stoppard play where there's a great line about all this thing we're doing. Tom Stoppard said this, he said, if you get the right words in the right order, you can nudge the world a little. And that's what we're trying to do, I think. Yeah.
Well, I learned at about the age of 13 that I learned better by looking at things than actually reading. I'm a visual learner, so visiting museums really changed my life. And I was, like you, hooked from that moment on.
Well, for me, it was my grandfather, Grandpa Fitzgerald, and I was at boarding school out here during the very end of the war, and he took me over to the Old North Church, and and he used to sit out there with the rector, and they'd cock their chairs back so that they could look up at the towers, and then they would talk to it, and they'd give me some money to get some cannolis. You can see what the result has been on the. But I just remember Grandpa talking about the history of Boston, and I've never forgotten, and it's something that's enormously important. Well, the time has flown by, and I'm so grateful to all of you. So thank you all for coming today and being a part of our discussion. You've made a tremendous difference for our Commonwealth, and I admire the work that all of you have done so well. In a moment on your screen, you will see the websites for the Williamstown Theatre Festival, the New Bedford Whaling Museum, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and regional tourism councils from across our Commonwealth. President Kennedy said that after the dust of centuries has passed over, our cities, we too will be remembered, not for our victories or defeats in battle or in politics, but for our contribution to the human spirit. Your efforts certainly sustain the cultural spirit of our state. Keep up the great work. And thanks so much for being with us today. Thank you. Thank you.